You're watching E.T.N. Share and subscribe.
Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. This is Rob. This video, we're going to do one of many requests from viewers and members of the Nation Facebook page. This one comes from Dwayne Jones, and he wants to know, he asked me the possibility of any other Toho monsters getting some shine or getting some movies or being involved in any movies, either during the Godzilla trilogy, during the Godzilla legendary run, or if Toho decides to do it. So that's an interesting question. You know we already have three monsters going. We have Mothra, we have Ghidorah, we have Rodan. I don't know if they'll go beyond that. Those are probably three of the biggest ones out of Toho that also have popularity overseas. You could argue Angris is another one. So there might be a possibility for him. I think it also depends on the success of the movies, and also depends on whether or not Toho wants to allow Legendary to further go into their library of monsters. So there's a lot of things play into it. I think if the movie success is there, and if Toho likes what they see and they like what, how the movies are going, and the fans are responding in a positive way for the most part, then I think there's a slight chance. And I think after that, you have to kind of look at which monsters you want to bring over. Angris is a good argument. He's kind of like on that threshold where he is very popular. I think his popularity has increased over the years more than maybe some other monsters. So I think that's one possibility. Outside of him, when you take Angris, Mothra, Rodan, and Ghidorah, that's about it. That's probably about it. I can't see any other monsters coming out of that fold that would be considered recognizable to some audiences over here. You got to remember, they also make these movies with the general public in mind. So they felt that these are probably the three most recognizable monsters to people who may just be basic general fans or have just seen the movies in passing. Mothra's had a lot of movies. She's been in a lot of Godzilla movies. Ghidorah, the same thing. Ghidorah's been a different iteration of Ghidorah, has been in Mothra movies and has obviously been in Godzilla movies. And then Rodan had his own movie, and he's been in a slew of Godzilla movies. Angris has never had his own movie. Angris has been in a number of Godzilla movies, but they've always been small roles. With the exception of Godzilla vs. Gigan, he was in Destroy All Monsters for a very short period of time. He was in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla for a very short period of time. He was in Final Wars for a scene where he's fighting Godzilla with King Caesar. And I believe King Caesar, I think it was Rodan as well. And so outside of those movies, and I'm sure he was in some others, I just can't remember, but he's been spotty. You know what I mean? He's been spotty. He hasn't had the kind of attention that the other three have had. So it's a toss-up with him. It really is a toss-up with him. And then when you look at the other monsters on Toho's roster, the Gargantua, it's funny. The Gargantuas would be an interesting movie to do by themselves, I think, in my personal opinion. But, again, they've had, one movie? So when you look at Toho's other roster, I mean, who do you have? You have a lot of, you have Bylante, you have Space Godzilla, Mechagodzilla. I mean, these are cool monsters that are very popular. But the other thing you got to consider when doing this is how these monsters fit into the universe. I've said time and time again, as much as I love Mechagodzilla would not make sense in the Legendary series because it just doesn't make sense story-wise to build a machine that replicates Godzilla, I mean, think about it from a military perspective. If the military had capabilities to build a robot, they're not going to build it in the likeness of the opponent they're trying to stop, They want to build it so it has advantages. So Godzilla, as strong as he is and as powerful as he is lumbering. He's big, he's slow. They're not going to want to replicate that. So I don't think Mechagodzilla fits. Space Godzilla, you can make an argument for Space Godzilla, but then you kind of have to really start taking the story in a different direction. And it really depends where they're going now, because they are kind of hovering on the cheesy world right now with the Godzilla versus King Kong thing. So if they decide that they want to scrap the whole let's keep it dark and they want to go for just all-out monster bash, then yeah, I think Space Godzilla has an opportunity. I think Biollante, I would love to see Biollante on the legendary side. But again, this is a monster that is based on a rose. You know what I mean? A rose and a human spirit. So those kinds of things might be a little bit too much. I mean, what other monsters we have? Mechagodzilla. You could probably make an argument for Mechagodzilla. And outside of that, there's Manda. A serpent monster. Look, that seems very plausible to me. Bottom line is, if you're going to see any other monsters outside of the 3 that are coming to Legendary, I do think you have a much better chance of seeing them on the Toho side. That all depends on the success of Shin Godzilla. As of right now, obviously, there's not too much news regarding that movie. So whether or not we'll see any monsters other than the 3 that Legendary has been given, it's on the Legendary side, it's a real toss-up. A lot of things have to come into play. Whether or not Toho wants to let them do it, which monsters would they choose, would it fit in their world, and how would the fans respond? These are a lot of things that come into play when you consider bringing on other monsters. And I think they're bringing on the 3 that are the most recognizable. So if I'm going to guess, I say yes, but more likely on the Toho side, and that's dependent on the success of Shin Godzilla. So hopefully that answers your question, Dwayne. And once again, if you guys have any other videos you want me to do, any other requests, please put them in the comments below, and I will be working on them. This is Rob signing off for E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Take it easy.
Thank you for watching E.T.N. Don't forget to comment, share, and subscribe. Join the nation's Facebook page to meet other subscribers or visit E.T.N's Facebook page and Twitter page. Links for all are in the description.